Hello everyone, my name is Kenneth Obayuana. I'm your host, Agritech Founders Diary. Here we have conversation with successful entrepreneurs in the agritech ecosystem. And today is not different at all. We are having an amazing guest this evening joining us from Benin City, Edo State. It's not that person than Ojo Endurance Peter. All right. So today we are, as we have always have it, bring entrepreneurs who are doing amazing job in the agritech ecosystem to come join share their stories and experience and journey with us. That's what we basically do here. And it's not different. It's not different. It's the same thing we are doing. But before we go on, I want to appeal to you guys that please and please, if you've not subscribed to this YouTube channel, do it to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the notification buttons to get notification whenever we are all up, and don't forget to drop your like and your comment section and your comment or questions on the comment section. All right, thank you everyone for joining us once again, and thank you Mr. Ojo for joining us this evening. Good to have you on the show this evening. But before we begin, I want to ask you first of all, tell us everything about you, where it all started from, where your entire journey started from, where you were born to how you go and how you become a farmer today. Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? I think we are experiencing some network issues from his end. So, guys, thank you very much for joining me this evening. I promise it's going to be an amazing time this evening. We're going to be hearing um, some fantastic stuff from Mr. Ojo this evening. All right, thank you for joining us back again. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, Kenneth.
All right. So I was asking, I said, can you share with us your story, your entire journey from where you were born, how you go, where you schooled, and to the point of you becoming a farmer? Let's get to meet you. Tell us about yourself. Hello, can you tell us about yourself? I think could have been some having some issues. Don't worry, give us few times. We'll resolve this. Hello, can you hear me? Can you still hear me? Okay, guys, so sorry for the network issues. I think he's having some network challenges on his end. So generally, um, a lot is happening around the agritech industry. There's been so many amazing stuffs happening around the agritech industry, ranging from the culture meeting. But today we are looking at issues around greenhouse. So Mr. Ojo is into greenhouse. All right, a farm greenhouse. He has. We want to hear his story this evening. He has done some amazing job in the agritech industry. Okay, he has worked with some. Oh, hello, can you hear me now? Hello, can you hear me now?
Good evening, Kenneth.
So he has done some amazing work
Yes, I
in the
can hear you now,
agritech.
Kenneth.
Okay,
The
great. He has
network
done some amazing work in the
is
agritech
frustrating here.
industry. All right. So I was asking. I said you should tell us about yourself, where you grew up from, and then everything about yourself. Tell us about yourself. Let's get to meet you.
Okay, there's nothing so special about my story, but anyways, my
Okay.
name is Ojo Endurance Peter. Um,
Yes.
um, I was born in Nigeria, and I grew up in Edo State, Benin, precisely. my entire education was here in Edo State, down to the my tertiary when I had my university education at Benson IdahosaUniversity here in Edo State as well, Benin precisely. After my university education, I got a scholarship to study in Israel to do my master's in Israel. And
So sorry, guys. We lost him again. Um, so sorry. We lost him again. All right, guys. So he was sharing with us how he grew up from Benin City, Edo State. Um, his education generally was around Benin City. He got a scholarship to go do some master's program in Israel. That's amazing. So, and I'm really interested in his story this evening because Israel at the moment they are the forefront. Are doing some amazing work. So I currently carried out a research work on Israel, and I found out that Israel at the moment they are the world leaders in terms of agri-tech businesses, or in terms of technology in agri-tech. So Israel is they are the leaders, and that's really exciting to know. All right. So yes, thank you back. Thank you for joining us back again.
I'm sorry I had
So
network interference. So you asked about my background. So I said that after my university education, I got a scholarship to study in Israel to do my master's in Israel. Then that happened. I graduated best in my class. Then I got an automatic employment by an Israeli company here in Nigeria to return back to Nigeria to work with Taraba state government to manage their new greenhouses that they finished building, which it was a contract for 2 years. That happened. After the 2 years, I left Taraba. I came down to it. I got another contract with another Israeli company in Lagos. They had a collaboration with First City Monument Bank to design a template for people that are not really agriculturally inclined that are interested in agriculture. I want to do something in agriculture. That also happened. That was for a few months. And afterwards, I got an automatic employment with Hosa Greenhouse Farms. This is, I think, the biggest greenhouse farm in Nigeria. And I worked with them for 2 years before setting up my own company, Marketprice Vegetables Farms Limited. We started the year 2020, and we are 2 years old now, 2 years and a few
wow.
months old now. And we started with an open field. We started with open field production, 1 hectare. But today, 2 years later, we have a total of 6 greenhouses, and there's room for more, and we plan to expand. Our product right now is sold in the whole of Edo State, but more of Benin. We have customers in Port Harcourt. We have customers in Lagos. We also do business with Shoprite as well, and Fort Martin, Edo State, and a few other supermarkets. So yeah, that's all about me.
Great.
Thank you.
Awesome. So it sounds you've gathered enough work experience, a lot of experiences working with different people. First of all, gathering experience from Israel to Taraba to Port Harcourt to Welosa. Welosa is one of the leading forefronts of
Right.
greenhouse in Nigeria, and now running your own. I want to ask you, in all of this,
Right.
what has been your most difficult moment so far in building your own?
You mean when I start this?
At the time you
I
started
feel
your
this
own,
question is
yes.
referring to 2 years ago. From 2 years. What is it? Since I started my company, yes.
Yes, since you started
Are
your
you
own, what
asking
have been your most
since I
difficult
started my
moment
company?
so
All
far?
right.
Yes.
Well, honestly speaking, I wouldn't want to deceive anybody, right? It's been pretty. We've had a couple of challenges, right? And these challenges was from starting up, getting an area to even build in the first place, then um, procurement of materials, considering prices and all, and running the entire business when it has to do with cost of fertilizers and efficient agrochemical to use for your business, and also where the market has to determine the price of your product. So it was a couple of challenges for us. The good thing for us, one of the good things for us was the fact that um, I got experience on how to build the greenhouses. So I built my greenhouses myself, and
Mm-hmm.
these greenhouses are not standard greenhouses per se, but they're rather high tunnel greenhouses, because I discovered that getting or building a standard greenhouse here in Nigeria is really, really expensive, and getting the materials, right, the pipes and all that to build it here costs a lot of money, and you cannot. Sometimes you don't get the very best of pipes to do this work. So um, I designed a greenhouse template for myself, and I started. I worked with a friend of mine in Israel, um, who studied at Technion in Israel. He helped me with the design, and we built the greenhouses. And today I can say that we built about 52 greenhouses, if I'm not mistaken, in the whole of
Whoa,
South South.
52.
Yes, we built about 52 greenhouses. But back to the challenges. So yeah, just like I said earlier on, the challenges came from the major challenge we experienced was getting inputs for the farm, for the crops to grow very
Mm-hmm.
nicely,
Mm-hmm.
the agrochemicals and the fertilizers, because right now getting fertilizers is quite difficult because of the ban in some of these inputs, these fertilizers for agricultural purpose. So yeah, the inputs is somehow mostly the challenge that we experience. Pest and disease, not so much. We have ways of handling problems like that. So yeah, the inputs and the market,
Okay.
because the market determines how much you sell your produce. If you have to consider how much goes into the production, which usually comes from the price of the fertilizers and whatnot, and taking your produce to the market, and the market starts to tell you that, look, this is how much they are going to buy it. The market here don't really care if your produce come from the greenhouse or from the open field. They don't care. Look, are you selling tomato? The tomato is good. Okay, I'll buy it at this price. If you're not selling to me, this other person that does open field production, no, sells the same, can give me at a better price. So yes, it's really discouraging.
I see. I see. So let me ask. You've been building your own. You've worked with so many other greenhouse farm. Now you're not building your own. I want to ask,
Correct.
what are some of the mistakes you think you've made so far? Like, if you were to start all over again, what do you think you would do better this time?
It's a funny question, I must say. What I think I'll do better this
Better,
time around.
yes, yes.
Well, honestly speaking, I don't think, and I don't know if anything has been wrong with regards to our structure and our production. I don't think there is anything that I would want to really. I don't think so. I don't think there's anything there for me to really have regrets about. Or what I can
Okay.
say, what I would rather say would be that I wish my my cost of setup and prior to this time, the cost of production was a bit more, reduced. If that was the case, it means that I'll have more profit. Then I would have much more greenhouses. I'm saying this because if things were a bit cheaper, the cost of getting greenhouse setup materials cost of fertilizers as it relates to the ban. If things were to be equal, I think I'll have much more greenhouses by now. So I don't really
Mm.
see any mistakes or any faults as it is at the moment.
Okay, okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, let me ask. In your journey so far, what have been some of your proudest moments? What have you done that you feel like, man, I'm proud of myself? Can you share some of the things you've done that made you really proud of the steps you've taken in the agri-tech business, starting your own?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you. I don't know if it's going to be a long conversation, but I'll try to make it as brief as possible. Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
One of the best decisions I made in my life was to leave the secondary school where I was teaching in Delta
Okay,
State, Warri. Um,
okay,
was the decision was to live there and volunteer for 1 year with my alma mater, Benson IdahosaUniversity, because that was
okay,
actually where things turned around for me. I volunteered with Benson IdahosaUniversity for 1 year, no salaries, nothing. I was just working. I was dedicated to service, and the president of the university, Bishop Fabi, the house saw me and invited me for dinner. That was how we discussed about agriculture. I told him I wanted to study biotechnology. I wanted a situation where we could hold a mango fruit and consume this mango fruit for um, the entire length of a movie. That was how Benson University paid for the summer program which I went for in Israel. From there, the university did an interview for me. Then I got the scholarship. Right. So that was one of the very best decisions that I made. And the second thing was
mm,
to work with the people, the kind of people that I worked with, the Israelis, the Mexicans, the Ugandans, and the Kenyans that I worked with over the years to learn. Right. I did not, because I had a master's in fruit science with an emphasis in food security and safety in Israel. I did not take that as an opportunity to say, look, I've got everything and I need to just get into the market and start growing crops and building greenhouses. No, it wasn't like that for me. I committed myself to learning the production part with the Israelis and Mexicans, and also I committed myself to learning how to construct and build, good, strong, um, well-aerated greenhouses from my friend in Israel. So that was another decision, very good decision that I made. But the best of them was the decision to, I beg your pardon, was the decision to start up my own company. Was the very best. In the midst of the struggles, I decided to start up my own company. This was during the COVID period. I decided to start up my own company to produce vegetables for the Nigerian markets and beyond, right?
mm-hmm,
Considering the fact that I didn't have the entire funds. I knew that the goal was to have greenhouses in different parts of the world, especially starting with Nigeria. But I started with open field production, right? I'm sure you know that open field production has its challenges, a lot of challenge that comes with the pest, disease, and a lot of inputs, a lot of chemical inputs that goes into taking care of these crops, just to make sure that the pest and disease does not kill your entire crop. So yeah, this was one of the very best decisions, the best of all that I made. Starting up my own company, starting up Marketprice Vegetables Farms Limited, and bringing
great,
people that understands, that can work with me, especially my wife.
great. You see, one of the things I love so much you shared was volunteering. So a lot of youth, they are out there, there there is no job, there is no money to start their businesses. But I think the first step for you when you say, I don't have job, I don't have this, is volunteer. Go for an internship program, even if they are not being
Correct.
paid. I think in my own personal journey, one of the things that I've really helped me so much is been volunteering with some
Great.
organizations. I don't get being I mean, no payment, no salary, I just volunteer
Great.
with the organizations
Mm-hmm.
just to give my best. And along the line of me volunteering for no money involved at all, certain doors are being opened. That I think that
Yeah.
really resonates with me when you share that of volunteering, and how you volunteer with Benson University and open doors that led to you schooling in Israel. And today, what you learned at Israel is what you are using to feed today. I mean, it's what you are using to change the
Right.
entire agricultural industry.
Correct.
So just that
Correct.
volunteering really resonates with me. And I love the fact that you started with whatever you have, you know, starting
Correct.
from the open feed, starting with knowing fully what the entire challenges we're going to face, starting from the open feed without looking for big money to get your greenhouse. You know, you started from where you are. I think those two really resonate with me, and I'm really excited to hear you share those stories. But I want
Thank
to
you so
ask,
much.
in your own vegetable farm so far, what have been your challenges you faced in building your own businesses? What are some of the challenges you faced, and how did you navigate that challenges? You know, a lot of our audience are greenhouse farmers. You know, they want to hear what are some of the challenges you faced. How did you navigate that challenges? How did you skate through?
Okay, Kenneth, look, start running my own company. Some of the challenges we've had
Yes.
to that we faced were pest and disease. That was there. But at first, I'd rather say that setting up the greenhouses, right? It was from
Okay.
growing in the open field. I got some funds from production and sales, and I started consulting for a few other farms. I was able to save, put money together to build the first greenhouse. So the thing is, the challenge of finance, funding was a bit of a problem. Um, was a bit of
Yeah.
a problem. So I had to, like you said, I had to make do with what I had, and I grew what I had, right? From the small monies that I kept from production, I started consulting, added more money to it over time, and I built the first greenhouse. When I saw that the first greenhouse was good, I discussed with my friend in Israel about the design and all. Then I started building. That was how I started building greenhouses from people. We made good profits from there. As we kept on producing, added more money together, built another greenhouse like that. So it was more of the challenge of finance. One of it was a more of challenge of finance. The second was pest and disease concerns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Getting a technology like growing soilless, for instance, using the hydroponic or substrate system to produce crops, it's not very cheap, right? So we had to start with inside our greenhouses. We had to start with growing with soil, and growing with soil has its own challenge as well. Challenges, the disease inherent in the soil, which you have little or no control over. So that was there, but we were able to learn. It was a learning curve for us. We learned how to um, do solarization and treating the soil before using it to produce crops. So we had to do all that before we decided to get into soilless, use the soilless technology. This time around, we did not do hydroponics using of water to grow, but we rather did we used a system where we got cocoa pits, right, mixed with
Mm-hmm.
a few other nutrient-rich materials, for example, and we used them to grow crops, especially the tomato, using them to grow tomato, and it worked for us, right? So yeah, pest and disease was another concern we had as well. And like I already told you before, a very big challenge for us was getting agrochemicals that were good for this region. Because it's one thing to have agrochemicals, right? And bring agrochemicals from outside the country and say that the agrochemicals are very effective. It's another thing for you to try it in your region and for it to work for the particular pest or disease you want it to work for in your region, right? So it's not the same. The efficacy is not the same at all. And getting fertilizers, the major challenge with getting fertilizer input is the ban. Because of the ban, it was difficult for us to get fertilizers for crop production, so which increased the cost of producing the vegetables, and which automatically would increase the price of selling the vegetables. And there is a threshold price for that the market would readily accept. and say, look, we're going to buy your produce for this price. This is the highest price. If you disagree, if you don't want to sell to them at that price, they don't buy from you. And because they're perishable, they start to go bad after a period of two weeks or thereabout.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So
Right.
let me ask, one of the challenges most of the guys I've interviewed and I've interacted with, their biggest challenges is funding. I want to ask, I know you've mentioned some part of it. I want to break it down for us again. How have you been able to fund your business so far? Did you get loan? Did you get grants? Did you get government support? Did you get family, friends and family support? Generally, just us. How have you been able to fund your business so far? I mean, greenhouse
Right.
is not cheap to build. So building a greenhouse is not cheap. So have you been able to build yours? Have you been able to fund your greenhouse farm?
Okay, Kenneth, like I said before, the look, what you have is what you have. You can't kill yourself, right? What you can offer is what you
Yes,
can offer. What I had,
yes.
right, when I did my calculations, what I had was only going to be sufficient for an open field setup. The monies I had couldn't have gotten me a greenhouse if I wanted to when I started my company, right? So
Mhm.
I intentionally did not want to get into loans, to get
Okay.
funding from the banks or funding from an individual. I didn't want that. Because for me, it was the first time I wanted to build a brand for myself. It was the first time I was getting into the space on my own. I worked with several companies. I understood what I could do, but it's one thing for you to say, look, yeah, I can do it. It's another thing for you to actually do it. So I wanted to try out on my own first, right? I know a lot of
Okay.
persons will kick against it and look, why don't you just get loans from the government or get funding from the banks and all? I don't believe in that. I believe that it's better for me to start with whatever I had, build a business first, and understand how the business runs, everything about running the business, right? Before
Mm-hmm.
um, getting into some sort of partnership or want to say, okay, look, we are confident enough to go to any bank and say, look, give me 100 million naira. I'm going to give you back this money this time, from this time to this time, I'll give you the money, right? I wanted a situation where I'm 100% sure and confident that, look, we can do this and we go for it. I don't want a situation where I start up I get money from, I get loans and start up the business, and in the end, I start having losses, like the challenges that we faced, the pest and disease and all that. You know, we didn't want to experience that and start running from pillar to post looking for money to pay the people we collected money from. I didn't want that. So yeah, it was everything that I used to start up my company was entirely 100% what we worked for, what we saved over time. And thankfully, we have 6 greenhouses today. And
Wow.
we have plans on expanding before the end of the year, as a matter of speaking. We have plans of expand, uh, get more greenhouses in another location, because the area we have that we built our greenhouses is not the biggest. It can only accommodate 9 greenhouses. So we have plans of getting another area, which we're working on right now, to build more greenhouses. It's a For us, we want to do the greenhouse production and open field production. All right, both way. This way we can get more revenue and get the massive location for us to say, look, this is our permanent site. This is where the farm. This is how the farm is going to be, right? So yeah, of course we have
Ah, we lost him again.
to
So
get
sorry, guys.
really big
Okay,
area. So
okay,
yeah,
great. All right, let me ask you are mentioning some few things. Let me ask, what's your vision for the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
where do I see the company? You mean,
Yes, so yeah,
Marketprice
where do you see the company
is
in the
an
next five
entity,
years?
right? So look, um, um, market price is no longer just my thing. It was when I started. You can say it was my
Okay.
thing, but right now it has grown to the extent that where we are right now. Um, it has grown to the point where I do not just um, I do not just plan for the farm alone, but many other people, a few other persons, we discussed about where market price is going to be. But from what we've discussed so far, in the next 5 years, Kenneth, believe me, take this from me, in the next 5 years, our vegetables will be in almost every household, almost every
Great.
household in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
Almost every
Mm-hmm.
family will have the market price vegetables. The brand will be a household name. This I can tell you, Kenneth. The plans we have, it's going to be a household
Great.
name. We have plans to, in the next 5 years, definitely, we're going to be doing a lot of trainings. This time around, not seminars, not just seminars for people, get trainings for 1 week and all that. It's not possible. It's not possible. Learning about agriculture 1 week, not possible, my friend. We're going to be having a hub where we can train people, a combination of practical and theoretical knowledge being passed, where they'll stay on our campus and not very big campus in the next 5 years, on our campus and learn about the production, construction of greenhouses, consultation and all that, more like having extension agents as well. And I'm very sure in the next 5 years, we're going to be having conversations with different governments.
Great. Great. There is this my belief that I like your vision for the next 5 years, and then I'm excited to hear this
Thank
coming
you.
from you because I strongly believe, and I've been advocating for it that the next future of agriculture is not going to be driven by farmers, or it's not going to be farming as we used to know it. It's going to be a lot of differences to it. So you as a microbiologist is now becoming a farmer. You can see. So because I've always been saying that the future of agriculture is going to be driven by biologists, biochemistries, I mean biotechnologists,
Right.
engineers. We're
It's
going
a
to be seeing
combination of both.
engineers
It's a
coming to the
combination of
space. So
all of them.
yesterday
Right.
I was somewhere doing some presentation, and I met this engineering guy from from other university, and he's into farming. I mean, fish. He has brought his innovations from the using his
Right.
engineering mindset to drive the industry. Now I'm seeing you. I think some other time I interviewed one of my first guests. I think Samson it was a biochemist. So we are not seeing the industry be driven by biologists, biochemists, biotechnologists. Engineering is really fascinating to me. I want to ask, did you ever foresee this happening? I mean, did you, when you were growing up, did you ever believe you're going to become a farmer?
Look, Kenny, I've been waiting for this question all my life, so to speak. Anyways, Eh, so look, um, honestly speaking, I never saw this coming. This was actually where it started from. Very brief story. I saw an article by I think US Daily or something about Professor Fred Davis. He was in charge of USAID at some time, some years ago, right? And he talked about the future of um, the food crisis. More like he said that by mid-century we'll have a situation where we'll have the population of the world to have increased by 30%, meaning we'll be having around 9 billion people in the world, and we would require about 70% increase in food production, right, to feed the 9 billion people. When I saw that, it got me thinking, right? It got me thinking about my future, about hunger. It means that I'm going to be hungry. Mid-century, I'm going to be hungry. My parents will be hungry. The world will be hungry. I need to do something. That was how everything started. Since then, that has been um, that has been my driving force to make sure that we get food sufficient. I want to look what I'm doing right now is doing my own part to contribute to 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 the situation, right? I want a situation
Great.
where I know that we buy a lot of food we bring in a lot of food, right, from outside the country, right? Not a bad thing, right? Not a bad thing. But I want a situation where, and this food spends some days before it gets to us, maybe weeks before it gets to us here. I want a situation where my people, when I mean my people, I mean Nigeria, where a situation, I don't this where my people can consume vegetables as they hot, straight from the farm to the market. That's what I want for my people. We consume vegetables. We have good technology, modern technology. We have people coming from different sector, right? See IT now in agriculture, different sector, join heads together to look for the best ways to produce food. And that's what we are going to be doing. That's what Market Price Vegetables is going to be doing in the future. Bringing in new technology to grow vegetables for our people so we can consume and contribute our quota to global food security. This is what we need to do. That was why I went to Israel. That was why thankfully the scholarship came to study plant sciences with an emphasis in food security and safety, and for my master's in Israel. So we're doing our bit, and I need everybody to do their own part. Young people need to come together and start thinking, what can we do to feed our parents in future? What can we do to ensure that our children do not suffer? What can we do to ensure that we don't go hungry in future? Because I don't know. This is what I'm thinking.
You know, I think I share same thought with you. You know, it get me think when I hear that 2050 there's going to be over 9 billion people that we need to feed, and I'm excited that the industry, the agricultural industry is being open to so many other people. I mean, so many. It's not we are not relying on just agricultural students alone
Right.
to come feed us, because we have 9 billion people to feed in the year 2050, and year 2050 is around the corner. So yes, I'm also curious like you, but I'm really excited with your visions and with some of the things you've shared as regarding where you want to see your company in the next 5 years.
Thank you,
And
Kenneth.
I'm excited that I want to be able to say in the next I want to be able to say in the next 5 years, I want to be able to say I interview you, I saw the vision, and I believe in the vision.
You know
You
what,
know,
Kenneth? It's
I'm
gonna
basically,
happen. This thing can happen.
but let me ask you one question quickly. You schooled in Israel. Are you thinking of doing any collaboration? Are you thinking of doing any collaboration with Israel as regarding your company? Are you thinking of doing any program with them, or drawing any connections with Israel to Nigeria through your company?
Yes, Kenneth. Yes. As a matter of fact, um, before I started Market Price Vegetables Farms Limited, I already started doing something in that line. While I
Okay.
was consulting for Taraba State Government in the farm, Taraba Vegetables, I discussed with Tel Aviv University, which was where I graduated from, did my master's,
Yes.
and I had some of the professors come around, especially Professor Neo Had, was one of my lecturers. He came around to Nigeria, and we came down. We came down to Edo State. We visited the University of Lagos. He also came down to Edo State, and we visited some universities, especially Benson IdahosaUniversity, where we discussed about ways to collaborate with them, and that is ongoing right now. So yes, but some of the things that we plan to do in my company that studied at Technium in Israel, we have good relationship. He should be coming down to Nigeria anytime soon. Um, then I'll take the conversation to my alma mater, Tel Aviv University, to have further conversations about collaboration. But that is when we are going to kick off the the our school where people can come around and train, reside on campus and all that. So yes, this is something that we plan to do. But like you already know, Kenneth, I like to take one step at a time whenever I do what I do. I like to be very careful
Great.
because it's a matter of reputation
Great.
and it's a matter of feeding the world.
Awesome. I look forward to see what you bring to Nigeria through your company. I believe in what you are
Thank you,
doing,
Ken.
and I look forward to see what you bring to Nigeria. I mean, I look forward to some opportunities you'll be creating for other young Nigerians to come into the space through your company. I look forward to that. But as we begin to wrap up, I want to ask, what advice do you have for other agri-tech people who want to, build their own greenhouse farm, what advice do you have for them? What should they be doing?
Okay, so what I can say is this. Um, Start with what no, do not try to save the best of funds to start up to start up your dreams, to start up your farm. Start with what you have. Start with what you have. If your plan is to do a hectare of tomato production and you have not so much your your startup capital is not so big, start somewhere. Because that was how I started, right? But you must be
Mhm.
serious with what you're doing. It's not a thing of okay, let me start up, and I see that it's not working so well, and I just bounce and leave it and go get a job somewhere and start doing, working. Now, if you're really interested in it, consistency is key. Start it, no matter the challenge, keep pushing, keep pushing. Somebody is going to see what you do and will just want to encourage you further. All right. And
Great.
you know, one of the things you should always go for is ensuring that the quality of vegetables or whatever you want to produce that you give to that you give to Nigerians and take to the Nigerian market is your heart. It's your very best. Like I tell everybody that comes to my farm, right? I treat my crops like my child. I treat them like my
Mm-hmm.
children. That's how I see them. All right. When they are not happy, I know when my crops are not happy. Right. On a daily, I play music. There are speakers in my greenhouse. I play music for my vegetables because they are living things. So when they get to listen to good music, right, they are happy. They produce very nicely. And I believe something about our energies, right? If you take negative energy to your crop, they won't do very well for you. Be happy. Every time you see them, be happy. Touch them beautifully well. Ask them questions. This is the way, it sounds crazy, but this is the way I treat my crop. And it reflects on the quality of the vegetables I take to the market. My vegetables always stand out in the market. They always stand out in the market. So what I get to say to anybody that wants to get into agriculture or that is thinking about getting into agriculture is look, start from where you can, right? If you feel that the best way to go about it is getting loans, but be sure that you can pay back those loans. But if you feel that you want to start up with what you have, with what you're saving, with what you've saved so far, go ahead and do that. That was how I started, right? And I was graced enough, right? God blessed me enough, and to direct my path, and that's how we're here today. So yeah, start now. Start now. Do not wait for tomorrow. Do not wait for tomorrow.
Great, guys. Thank you very much for that advice. The
Thank you
best
very
time to
much,
start
Kenneth.
is now. Start now. Start now. Don't wait for
Right.
tomorrow. Just hit the ball rolling. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Thank you for sharing your story with us. It's been an amazing
Thank you so
time,
much.
and then we look forward to what you really wants to bring up on board, how you wants to impact the agriculture industry. Yeah, we look forward to it.
And I
So
like what
lastly
you're
before
doing
we
a lot.
go,
I like what you're doing. Very nice.
thank you very much. Last before we go, what do you think about the future of agriculture? What do you think about the future of agriculture? How do you see the future of agriculture?
Woo. Look, some people say that agriculture is the new, in Nigeria, agriculture is the new oil. I don't think so. I
Yes.
think
So
agriculture has
yeah,
always been there. It has always been bigger than oil. It has always been bigger than oil.
great.
Agriculture is the agriculture has always been the future. It's not something I can't even say agriculture is the future. Agriculture has always been the future. Asking me what I think about the future of agriculture, it's it's like asking me if I'm going to eat tomorrow. Definitely, I'm going to eat tomorrow. So yes, agriculture
True.
is always going to be the future. Agriculture is big, and we all should get involved in it, right? One way or the other, having a garden at your backyard, you need. Kenneth, the most important thing we need to teach our children how to produce food. We need to
Great.
teach our children how
Awesome.
to produce food. It's very important, Kenneth. Have a garden at the backyard. Have a garden. Do something.
Good. Great. Thank you very much. and that's really important. It's important. Every one of us, we have a role to play in this, in the future of agriculture. We have a role to play, and first of all, I think is let every one of us should let our children know how to produce the food they eat. Where is the food coming from, and then it's also good for every one of us to have our own vegetable gardens in our backyard. Very, very important. Very, very important. Thank you very much for your time this evening. We've
Right,
learned so much from your
right.
stories this evening. Thank you very much for joining us this
Thank you,
evening.
Kenneth.
Awesome time.
Thank you
Thank
for
you very
having
much.
me.
I believe the audience, they've learned so much. I've been seeing a lot
All
of
right, you take
comments
care.
coming up. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. We are really, really grateful. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. Thank you for your time so far. It's been a pleasure having you all joining us this evening. Thank you very much. We are grateful, sir. Thank you very much. So it's on this note we are going to call it a good night. Thank you very much for joining us. We are grateful, guys.
All right, bye, Kenneth.